Hermano, no, estamos grabando ahora.
Vamos, güey.
Es tiempo para
Estamos-
empezar. Vámonos, pues.
No, estamos esperando el pincheo. Bueno, ladies and gentlemen, it's been a little minute. It's been a little hour. Come back on in because it's still October and the Lingaholics. Dia de los Muertos coming up, but we ain't dead. We ain't dead, folks. We are here. We are live. It's episode 56, 56, and holy smokes, what's gone down in the last little while? Let's reminisce for a second. While two of the Lingaholics got back together recientemente. Our boy Sweco made a little trip out here to Alberta. It was a quick one, but holy smokes, we lit it up, fired up, lots of languages, lots of Espanol, un poco de francés y todo. So we're gonna regale some of our time together from this past weekend. I don't know. It's just been one of those months where time just kind of took us by the horns and went our way. So we're coming on the brink of the month of November. The podcast, I was thinking today before the episode, it's almost a year and a half since we started this little aventura, and here we are. We're just trugging away. So me personally, with my languages, look, I've always got my eyes set on the ones I want to keep improving. But what I really want to get in today is this topic of doing a language justice, which is really looking at your heavyweight languages, let's call them, the ones people know you for, and how you could go even deeper and just really expand and enjoy the entire varieties of experience with that language. So it's lots of things on my mind here to talk about. But you know what? It's not just a monologue of me, senor. I got dos compañeros ayudarme. So let's go to el señor Sueco, who hace una semana was a Bertaño for un rato. So,
That
señor,
was a good time, man. We had a good
cuéntanos.
time.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, so I flew out to
Thank you for coming.
Calgary. I flew out to Calgary Friday after work. And then who but Senor Regnier picked me up from the airport after when I arrived at Calgary International Airport. And we had a pretty good time, man. We had a pretty good time. We were riffing in Spanish the entire time. Then our friend Cholito, el Mexicano, our Mexican friend, came and destroyed everything by refusing to speak Spanish.
He loves English.
He loves English. So that was a bit of controversy during the weekend because Cholo didn't want to speak Spanish initially. Then I had a serious talk with him, like, "Hey, hermano, por
We
favor."
sent him that voice message.
Yes, we sent him that voice message, and we were like, "You have to, like, we know you can speak English, right? Time to speak Spanish.
Yeah,
like,
we're not doubting that.
Quítate la verga, way." So, so after that, like the day after, he was better, which was nice.
Yeah.
So we had a weekend full of Spanish, which was nice. And it's funny, man. Like, what do you think people think of us when we go to like these places, these bars, these breweries? Like,
I don't
two
know.
white dudes and like speaking freaking Spanish to each other.
You know what? Here, I'm going to chime in here.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, 90% of people think that it's freaking cool.
No, but what do you think? Like the waitress, like she obviously hears us speak Spanish, and then she comes over and she's like, "Anything else, please?" And then we're like, "Yeah, could I have a couple beers, please?" Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's obvious that we're not Spanish.
Is it though? That's what I wonder sometimes. Like,
yeah, but like,
to
like,
me it's obvious, but to other, just, if you're not really used to foreign languages, foreign accents, and you just hear you hear anybody speaking any other language, you just assume they're not Canadian, say,
or maybe maybe they think we're like perfectly bilingual.
I don't know. Yeah, I was wondering the same, man. Because
I was thinking about the same, but then I really don't care. But it's interesting.
Right, perception, right?
It's just perception is interesting. So I'm just wondering, like, what everyone thinks of us, like, doing, because it's obviously not like normal. Like, it's not like normal people behavior to like sit and speak in like some other languages, and then,
right,
obviously not
on Sunday.
Like, yes, exactly, and then like obviously not be Hispanic. You know what I mean, though?
I think most people would pick up on that. I think
how would they pick up on that?
Would be able to tell.
Tell what?
Just because of the way that you look.
No, but tell what? Like, what's their perception of us? You think?
Like that you don't speak Spanish natively.
But we're riffing though, man.
Yeah, we're like we're
riffing,
like really
it's,
riffing.
it's not like we're just saying basic stuff. Like
They would probably think that
We're-
you've learned it and you're just cool that you can speak another language. That's
I
the
don't
way
know,
that
man,
I
because
would
it's
see
so
that.
freaking. Yeah, but keep in mind like that. Like you're not like everyone else. like imagine like the typical Albertan listening to us, like sitting there
Even then,
riffing.
I think you guys are not giving most people the benefit of the doubt.
might not be. Yeah, I'm just like it's curious.
I
Like,
think they're confounded. At least they're very confounded.
Absolutely, yeah.
They're like, what the hell? Like these
Yeah,
guys are
they'd be like,
either
"What's
like
going on
mentally,
here?"
they're
Yeah.
either mentally sick, or like something else is going on.
I think for some
Yeah.
languages it would be harder to tell. Like with Spanish, for example, they'd be like, okay, maybe that guy is from
Like,
somewhere, but like
Ha-
if they hear me like speaking Chinese with a Chinese person, they're gonna be like, okay, obviously this
Yes, but that's
person's
more
not
obvious.
Chinese.
That's even more obvious. That's even more obvious
yeah.
because there are Spanish speaking people that are like white as hell, right? That look like us.
Yeah. Mhm.
Like,
Like
what if we
that's a
really
thing.
played up the accent, like
Mames, güey, no mames.
Castellano, like
Like I'm speaking
if
like
we really,
castellano, tío. ¿Qué pasa? Somos de
yeah. But
Barcelona,
with
no?
that,
And then you would put
but
on
then we
like
like
no
turn to them and be
mames, el
like,
México, güey, tacos por todos, güey. Like if we were
but
to do that, maybe.
but if you just turn to them like, oh yeah, I'll have an IPA, please, and then just like,
Yes.
it sounds totally.
But here's the thing: if we were to riff in French, if we were to do it in French, it'd be would totally pass for Quebecois.
Oh
I
yeah,
bet.
yeah.
In Alberta, because they can't
Yeah,
tell. They
yeah,
can't tell. They'd totally be like, "Oh, those
yeah.
freaking Quebecers! Like they're out
Yeah.
here in Alberta. What the
Yeah.
hell?" Like
Maybe, I don't know, man. Like you
cool with
can
them and
look. I was in Lloydminster recently during Thanksgiving at the Shoppers Drug Mart, and there was these guys all waiting around, and they weren't from Lloyd. Like these, because Lloyd had the Lloyd Mall had this massive flood, so they think they get these specialty people in to like clean it all out. And these dudes were Texans, and I could just tell because I was waiting for my prescription, and like they're talking about like college football, and they were like talking about the quarterback and stuff like really intensely, like really, and like in the Texan accent too. And it's just like, man, those guys are not from Lloyd. Like there's no way in hell they're from Lloyd. Like, and you just hear it in the Texan accent and just like the obsession of college football. So like those two things. So I mean, yeah, there's some giveaways sometimes. Like, whereas if it's just like two Lloyd dudes talking about their fantasy football team, I'd be like, okay, whatever. But no, these guys were like Texans. So I mean, yeah, sometimes it's obvious, other times who knows, right? You basically have to like do it for like an hour and then like go up to people who might have caught your eye and be like, hey, like who do you think we are? Like where do you think
who
we're
do you
from?
think we
Or-
are?
That would be
Like
an
Alex.
interesting experiment.
Yeah, kind of a social experiment, no? Like all this language
¿Quién estamos?
speaking in public.
¿Quién somos?
So I mean, yeah, man. But like whatever. It's not like anybody was like super curious. They probably like heard us.
Yes, but nevertheless, so let's move on from that. So I came back from Alberta. I've had some crazy couple of weeks. Been very very busy. Nevertheless, doing a bunch of language stuff. Obviously, that's like hard for me. Like I've talked about this before, but it's like I'm on autopilot right now, especially with French and Spanish. That I really don't have to think about it. Like it's automatically incorporated into my day.
Mhm.
Which is nice, right? Like I have all these podcasts that I follow, and then also I have these language groups that I go to once or twice, or every week. Every other week is French, and every other week is Spanish, which is nice. And I have my buddies that I hang out with only like entirely in Spanish as well, which is nice. So I did that yesterday. A buddy of mine and I went out to eat. I told Ian about this before the pod. Like we went out to eat Mexican food and at a restaurant in Mississauga, like only riffing in Spanish the entire time, like no problem. So that's fun, right? That's really fun.
Yeah, it's like autopilot, right?
Yeah, it's like just
It's like
pasarla bien.
taking your vitamins and
Yeah,
speaking
just taking your
español.
getting your español and your francés.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Yeah.
getting there with my French as well. I'm getting there.
Yeah, I want to talk a little more about French.
Yeah.
in a bit here.
But anyway, enough of that. I'm gonna throw it over to Senor Pinch.
Occidental.
Tabarnak. What's going on, dude? How you doing?
Yeah,
Antonio?
I'm doing well. Yeah, just another week of work and Taekwondo and languages. So this week I had my first promotion test in Taekwondo, which was kind of interesting.
White belt to yellow
So,
belt?
yeah, I'm getting it. Well, I'm hopefully getting it next week. He was kind of ambiguous about whether or not I passed. He said I did really well, so I mean, I probably passed, but you never know. So, so hopefully I'll be getting my yellow belt next week, and then
From your white belt?
yeah. And it's kind of funny. I remember when I was in Taekwondo as a kid, they had a stripe system. So they had like white belt with yellow stripe, yellow belt with the green stripe, and so on and so on. But in Korea, at least from what I've seen, they don't have that. They just have like the solid color belts.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
Let's talk about this. So how hard is it to go from white to yellow?
Not really that hard. I think it's harder to progress in the higher belts because yeah, white belt to yellow belt is just like a lot of like basic basic movements, like basic forms and some basic stances, punching and kicking, and a little bit of stretching, and that's pretty much it. So it wasn't too difficult. Two of the kicks, I had trouble with two of the. I think I screwed up two of the kicks because they're really hard to do. Because doing the side kick is really hard. Like and like you guys know like the Bruce Lee side kick.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's really difficult to do. So, I remember when I was doing kung fu in China, I had a lot of trouble with that one too. And there was another one, a spinning back kick, which that sounds like really intimidating, but it's actually not too bad. Like if you practice it a few times, you can like kind of get the hang of it. But I kind of there's like two you had to do. Is like one uh where you do a spinning back kick and then you just land where you were. But then there's another one where you have to kick and then you swing your foot all the way back like 360 degrees. And that one I kind of screwed up because it's like you need to have really good balance for that, and I kind of screwed it up. But yeah.
Cody, how often do you do this? How often do you practice? Every day?
Oh, this is 3 times a week. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday morning. I get on a bus and go drive for 30 minutes to Taekwondo, and then do that for about an hour, and then head on back. And when I'm on the bus, lately, I've been really hot about vocabulary. So
No way.
I've been using Anki, and going when I'm on the bus, my bus commute to Taekwondo. That's a perfect time to
Perfect.
make some sentences using Anki and review those and whatnot. So I've been really excited about the idea of just like learning mass amounts of words, because I think that's like what's really going to take my Korean to the next level, cuz like I can kind of talk all right when I have a conversation. I just need the words. So I'm just going to be smashing words and just building up a huge mountain of those. So that's what I've been doing. And what's up?
Sorry, before we dive more into your Korean, because I'm dying to hear about it, but going back to the karate,
Taekwondo.
I mean the Taekwondo. To me,
Taekwondo.
karate, Taekwondo, it's all the same. But
Correct.
okay, first of all, Taekwondo, is that your favorite form of martial arts?
Not necessarily. I wouldn't say I have
You did kung fu for a while.
favorite. Well, I don't know. I don't really have a favorite. I would just say since I'm in Korea, it just makes sense to do Taekwondo right now. And I think
Right.
when I go back to Canada, I'm just gonna stick with it because one, I don't want to be a noob again in anything, and two, I think there's a lot of good opportunities to practice Taekwondo in Calgary.
Yeah,
I
'cause
think it's the
everyone
most.
yes. Taekwondo, isn't that like the most popular
Accessible.
one?
It's either Taekwondo or karate are the most popular in Canada.
Yeah. Maybe
Karate.
jiu-jitsu. To know.
Yeah, Brazilian
Yeah.
jiu-jitsu specifically.
Yeah.
So Cody, my next question was like, what do you do when you go and practice karate? Like, or sorry, Taekwondo. What do you like? How does a workout look like?
Yeah, so here's the typical day. So you go there, you do a temperature check because of coronavirus,
Cody, come on, man.
and
It's
then
a
you go
serious
get
virus.
and then you go get
Natural.
yeah. Sorry, I'm just
Be a little
anyways.
sensitive,
Okay,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, there
Sorry.
you go.
Okay.
Un poco
So
cansado de este tema.
so then you go get changed, and then you come out and you salute the flag, do your oath. So you recite
you've
the
memorized.
oath, which I talked about last time, and then bow to the master, and then you start stretching. So there's a series of stretching that you do, and there's a lot of, and you always count every time. So you go hana tu set net tasot yosot yugo yodo tu set net. It's like that, and then so it's like stretching based on that kind of rhythm. You do that for about 10-15 minutes, and then usually you do some kind of technique work, so like punching or kicking or something like that. And then after that, you work on your forms. That's generally how the class goes.
What do you mean by working on your forms? What does that mean?
So forms, I think we talked about this last time, but
Yeah.
forms is like it's a series of movements
It's non-combative.
that you have to memorize, basically.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, and they're all based in certain punches and kicks and stances and
So it's
movements and whatnot.
repetitive. It's very, very repetitive.
Yeah, the forms are very repetitive. Yeah, and I think when I get into more advanced levels, then he's going to start introducing like self-defense techniques and sparring and things like that. So
At what point do you get to start like fighting each other, like sparring?
that's either going to be yellow belt or green belt. There's none of that when you're a white belt, but I've got a feeling it's going to be green belt. I think there's like when I get to yellow belt, there's going to be some more. I think I'll have to learn some more techniques before I actually start sparring.
And what are the belts? Can you go through them real quick?
Yeah. Okay. There's yellow, white, yellow, green, blue.
There's
no purple is. I think purple's in karate.
Red.
So there's white. In Taekwondo, there's white, yellow, green, blue, brown, red, and then black. I think there's a red, half black, and then there's a black belt.
Right.
And how much time does it get to get the black belt? Usually, typically.
Probably a few years.
If you take it really seriously and you pass all the tests, I think you can do it in a year.
Wow, really?
To black.
Yeah, so
Damn.
if I do really well, I could leave Korea with a black belt.
Cody, you got to try to do that, man.
I know. I'm like,
day.
that's my goal. That's my goal for Taekwondo. Like, I want to be able to go back home and be like, yeah, I'm a black belt in Taekwondo now.
That sounds so badass.
Yeah,
that sounds
right?
really badass. Like being able to say that you're black belt anything sounds incredible.
Exactly. Yeah.
Man, this whole conversation just got me thinking, what if we just scrap the whole European framework for languages and we just did belts?
Start the belt.
Yeah, that's
like,
so much cooler.
I'm a white belt and I'm a white belt in German.
Yeah, I'm a black belt
No,
Spanish speaker. Not a big deal.
belt.
Like
Black belt.
That sounds so much cooler.
I was like, wait, what? You tested for that? I'm like, oh yeah, I tested.
I got a yellow. Yeah, I got a
black
yellow
belt
belt in
Spanish.
Portuguese.
Yeah, not a big deal.
Yeah.
Finch has a brown belt in Korean.
Yeah, working on that black belt.
Yeah.
So, no, man, no, dude, that's good. That's good to have like a ritual practice, right?
Yeah.
Going to.
Absolutely.
So-
And there's one thing I want to bring up next. So I was talking to a friend of mine last night, and I found out that his girlfriend speaks a bit of Korean. So we were like just talking to each other in Korean a little bit. And I've had this feeling before, and I want to ask you guys about it. So like, do you ever get the feeling when you're abroad, you're living abroad, or you are abroad, and you're immersed in another language, and you're exposed to native speakers all the time, and you feel very inadequate all the time, right? Like you feel like, oh my god, like I'm so bad at this language. And then all of a sudden you come across somebody who either is also learning it or is not very good. And then they find out that you can speak it. And then all of a sudden you feel so good about your ability. And then you're like, oh my God, like I'm actually really good. Like, do you ever get that feeling?
Mm-hmm.
Like in comparison
Yes.
to
Yeah.
someone else?
Yeah, like that's how I felt often in China. And that's how I'm feeling here. Like every time it gets brought up that I speak Korean, I'm like, yeah, I speak Korean. Like I'm actually not that bad.
Mm-hmm.
Really? No, I totally get what you're
Yeah.
saying. Like that's classic. Like speaking with. That's why I like hanging out with like non-native speakers, because it's like you're more comfortable.
Yeah, it's a confidence boost.
It's a confidence boost, and you feel better. Like it's
Yeah.
intimidating to be with someone who speaks a lot better than you. Now,
Yeah, but you can relate a lot to them too. Like, hey, you read chapter 1 of Talk to Me in Korean as well? Like, not like a
yeah, but you
native
know what I mean.
speaker.
Like
Like, yeah, I did that at
it's more
age 3 months.
comfortable. It's more comfortable to speak to someone who has a similar level as you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, for like a conversation.
That is true, though. That is true.
You can like boost them up too, being like, hey, this is the level I'm at. This is what you're at. Like, this is what I did. This is what I'm doing, to like kind of inspire them too, right? But
yes,
yeah,
but
I
it
mean,
just
comparatively, like,
subconsciously, or not. It's not even subconscious. It's just like naturally, it feels you're more comfortable when you're speaking to someone that has a similar level to you than when you're speaking to like a native speaker who's obviously magnitudes greater or magnitudes better than you are.
Yeah, and I think there's a spectrum here, like because you can be completely but surrounded by native speakers all the time, or you can like only be around other learners all the time, and both ends of the spectrum are very dangerous. You need to have a good middle ground where like you've got some native speakers, you've got some fellow learners, and they kind of like balance each other out. Because if you're around only learners all the time, like maybe we've experienced that a few times at the meetups in Calgary. It's like just a bunch of people like learning these languages, like, and then you're just thinking like, okay, like where are the native speakers? But if you're only around native speakers all the time, like sometimes how I am here in Korea, it's like, oh my God, like you can feel very inadequate in your ability.
Can I use a big education term?
Yes.
Oh, it's because Cody, you're going to education school soon, so you might hear this term. So it's like Stephen Krashen simply calls it like I+1, and that +1 is known as your zone of proximal development, also known as ZPD for our American friends. So what is that? The zone of proximal development is it's like a little bit, I mean, it's kind of hard to define depending on the subject area that you're in, but it's like it's definitely outside of what you're capable of, but it's not too outside of what you're capable of, if that makes any sense. So like you want to be pushing yourself, but then the moment you push yourself too hard, you're dunskies. Like you're not gonna progress like that. So I mean, it's a really subjective. I think it's so individual to where that is. But yes, if something's too easy or something's too hard, it's not gonna get you to where you need to go next, basically. So from a like educational theoretical point of view.
No, I get it, and that's why it's better.
Or more just like when you're in the zone. When you're in the zone, I think that's kind of what it could mean, right? You're in the zone.
Yeah. There you go.
Yes, and that's why it's better to like. I wouldn't say that it's better, but it's good to talk to people that are at your level because of that,
or slightly better,
or slightly better,
right?
Or even
or
like
slightly worse,
equally, or like equally. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's one of those things. Like, if you're talking to someone who, I mean, I can only relate to like what Lee has kind of told me about some expats in the Ukraine who don't progress at all after like years. So based on like hypothesis, it's like you kind of have to like not care then, no? Because wouldn't you say you're just in a country naturally and didn't give that much effort, just a little bit, like wouldn't you pick up some things?
Yeah,
He would, but
you
then
do pick up a few things, but like you won't be able to have a conversation.
no, right. So you got to
It's
have
just
some initiative.
survival words.
Right. Yeah. Right. So I mean, you got to have some initiative to like make sense of all the foreignness around you. But like that just fascinated me. Like these expats went years without like how that's such a bubble boy life. Like in my opinion, like in the country and not like
Yeah,
being
I
able to
don't get it.
talk to like your like the Domino's guy bringing you pizza.
Dude, I
I
swear
mean,
that's like 80% of English speaking expats in foreign countries.
Korea too. Would you
Eh,
say?
Doesn't matter which country.
Is that just yeah?
Yeah,
Like that's
maybe.
a classic 80. Yeah, maybe like depending on the
Maybe.
context. But I mean, right. So what did that it was a girl or a guy that you were talking to? Girl, right?
Yeah.
Cody? Yeah. So did you like give any tips or like point her along her
Oh no, it was
way
just like a
or
quick conversation. Like we just
yeah.
introduced, like
Yeah.
we just basically said hi and like who we were, and
한국어
like that was it.
봐요.
So so like it
감사합니다.
wasn't much.
감사합니다.
It wasn't
Mhm.
much, but it was very fluid. Like
Mhm.
she actually speaks pretty well, and I was able to talk like pretty fluidly with her for about like a minute or two, and it just
Mhm.
felt it was such a huge confidence boost for me because like
Mhm.
I don't get because most of my Korean interactions here, it's like somebody going like bah, and I'm like
Yeah.
bah, what do I say?
Right. And that's
Yeah.
arguably outside
감사합니다.
of the zone
How do
of
you say
professional
Ian?
development.
How do you say I don't have any money?
Oh, you're
Toma,
talking about
Toma,
Squid Game
Toma, Toma.
vocabulary? Tony Upso.
돈이
Yeah.
없어요. 돈이
Yeah.
없어요.
Um, yeah.
돈이
I mean,
없어요.
look, like where I like my day-to-day job is speaking with people that are learning the language, right? So, I mean, I'm just so used to like, well, I'm a teacher, right? So that's a little bit different than say just comparing myself to someone who's been learning or granted. But I mean, I guess a real skill, I think, is making the language malleable or
Yeah.
molding it to be comprehensible to whoever you're speaking to without like say like dumbing it down per se.
Yeah,
Like just
this is something that I can really relate to. This is a skill that I've developed as well, like just being like a foreign language teacher. Um, and so you've got like your teacher voice, right? And your teacher language. And it's way different than how you would talk to like your friends or your family. And
yes,
it needs to be.
it has to
And
be.
and so it's great for the students in the classroom, and it makes them feel that like, wow, look at this, like I can talk with this guy. But it like especially for younger learners in my case, like when they're exposed to the real world and they get like somebody talking to them, they're gonna say like, oh, this person doesn't talk like Cody teacher.
hmm
Like,
hmm hmm
so
No, that's true.
yeah.
Very true.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the teacher, I mean, if they're doing it right, like they're speaking at a slightly slower pace. Like I was at a recent PD saying language teachers should be at 85%, which I was like, okay, like you want to be too slow because then you're
Yeah,
just
because
gonna,
that's
then
just too
just,
condescending.
yeah, yeah, exactly, right. But 85, I was like, okay, I get that. If you're just a tad slower, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
just like being like very clear. And I mean, the whole point is you're trying to like suss out more than you thought you're going to get. I find, at least being a language teacher, and this would be like goes for this even at the meetups. It's like, yeah, I mean, sometimes you sat next to like a newbie, right? But they didn't have nothing. They didn't have a lot, but they didn't have nothing. It's
Yeah.
like, okay, well, show me what you got. Without like like just trying to like blitz them or something, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, it's kind of like, and then I hopefully someone pays that favor forward when you're learning a new language one day, right?
Yeah.
Like Lee's really good with his Ukrainian to me. Like he's comprehensive to me, whereas like a native Ukrainian just whew, like just yeah. So I mean, it's this relationship all the time, depending on your level you're at.
Yeah. So for all you native speakers and advanced learners, go easy on your intermediate and beginner counterparts.
Well, no, they should all realize they have a tremendous gift to give.
Yeah.
It's just make it like consumable. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
So Cody, it sounds like you're improving in your Korean.
Slowly.
Slowly, but can you say, because before you were expressing frustration at the level of at the rate of increase in your Korean advancements. But would you say that you are enhancing that rate of improvement, or are you saying that you are noticing a greater extent of improvement recently?
I am. Yeah. Yeah.
How's Anki
it's slow.
How's your Anki game? Like, are you
It's
making
good.
sentences with those words, or are you just doing?
Yeah,
words?
I think we've talked about this on the pod before, how I do Anki, but yeah, I like to make example sentences. So there's two sources that I primarily get words from, and one I've actually got this from my job. So at the end of every month they have this test called Vocab Master. And it's basically just like a list. It gives them a list of Korean words, and they just need to like give the English equivalent. And what I've been doing is like taking a picture of their test and like using it for my own purposes to learn Korean.
That's a hack, dude.
Yeah, I got the hack going on there. So I've been using that a little bit, and also, well, I've got kind of three methods that I mainly use. So the second one, it'll just be like any word that I'm thinking of, I'll use that, because honestly, that's extremely effective, because if you think of a word, like that's a word that's in your daily lexicon, right? So you're gonna use that sometime in your Korean or your other in your speaking journey, I guess. So it's very simple, but it's extremely effective. And the other one is just like looking up vocabulary lists online for various topics. So that's what I have been doing. And yeah, and then I just like I either think of an example sentence, or I take one from the translator. Because sometimes on the translator, on Papago, which is like the Korean Google Translate, they give example sentences with some of the definitions. So if they have a good example sentence, I'll steal that. If not, then I'll just make one of my own. Because I remember just thinking back to my university days. That's one of the parts of class that I always really enjoyed, was making your own sentences and whatnot. I always had a lot of fun with that because I can get pretty creative with them. So that's what works for me.
But Cody, have you not found some type of Korean learning community out there? There has to be some.
They exist. They exist. It's just I'm a little apprehensive to join anything online. I don't really like being in online communities.
There's nothing in person yet?
No. But I think there's going to start like meetups are going to start again, because on Monday the government here is finally starting to like lift all the COVID restrictions. So life is going to start going back to normal here.
La vie normale, no?
Yeah, so I'm pretty excited for that. So once
that's crazy how long
I know
how long it's been for you guys.
So once that gets fired up again, I'm gonna be actively hunting something like that down.
Yeah, no.
That's crazy. I haven't even thought about the pandemic in like weeks. Like I haven't even.
Dude, I can't wait for that.
I've like forgotten about it.
That's good. That's good, man.
No, it's very. So my whole time in Korea, it's very much been a in your face every part of everyday life.
Huh. Yeah, I'm sorry, man.
Oof.
I'm sorry, but anyway, let's move away from that topic real fast.
Yeah.
Let's do that real fast. That's cool though that you feel like you're making progress, but you got to find like a learning community. That's what I would do if I were you.
Yeah, I know, because I know not just me personally, but anyone in general like really benefits from some kind of a learning community.
That's the relationships, right? Like,
Yeah.
I think that's paramount to align. I'm just not meeting some rando today. It's like, hey, like ¿qué pasa con este way? Like, what's like this guy, this gal that you just met, and like you want to hear their story, right? I feel that's where,
Yeah.
definitely that's the upside of learning communities, 100%.
It's where the magic
Is the
happens.
people.
Yeah,
It's where the
plus
magic
it's like
happens,
it's
man.
it's like it's so empowering as well to be in such a community, you know what I mean? Like everyone is like there's so much motivation
Oh yeah.
like like
Yeah.
accumulated in one space, and it's
Yeah.
just it's contagious. So, like motivation is contagious. So when you
It
meet someone
is.
that's also like super motivated, super ambitious, then like that spreads to you as well.
The common mission of, like, let's
Right.
just keep
Yes.
working away.
That's why I love
That
meetups, right? Because
is.
everyone's like super pumped about learning languages.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean it kind of works both ways in terms of like, so when me and Cody went to a few of the KCCs, the Korean Calgary Converse, was it 3Cs?
Korean Conversation Club.
KCCC?
No, it was just KCC. Korean
KCC, Korean Conversation Club. Okay, yeah, sorry. Yeah, and it's like, hey, you had a mixed bag of like people learning Korean and people learning English. And I mean, it seemed like, sometimes it's a little imbalanced, but you got both sides like they want to learn Korean, you want to learn Korean, they want to learn English. So I mean, it's just like you're on the Silk Road bartering your languages, basically.
Yeah.
Un intercambio.
Un intercambio, sí. No es eso. But yes, always super important. I don't know. Lately, I've been just thinking about going deeper and deeper with one's current so-called like strong languages. Like, yeah, they're strong, but I mean, if you're in a time and place in life when you think you could get them even stronger for future endeavors, future adventures, I mean, I've just got, especially my French lately, I've been thinking a lot about because I never studied it formally. It's been so haphazardly studied, but I just wanted to get your guys' opinion on like this idea of taking it. I mean, we definitely, that's been like a running theme of this podcast is like the dabble versus the going in depth. But I mean, at what point does one feel like they've really satisfied? I mean, you're not just speaking the language, but you're being like creative and inventive with it, and you have like you have like a cultural reference of a vast array of movies, films, actor. Like maybe you've had maybe even with this idea, you have to travel to at least like a few different places to really grasp it. But I've just been thinking so much like, you know what, my French is actually like, it's conversational and all, but it doesn't have like that like extra depth of the ocean to it.
Yeah.
So I mean,
Not yet.
but that it's gonna take time. But
It's
I
a
mean,
lifelong project,
you
man.
really got. I know.
So what are you gonna do with your French? You got any plans?
Well, I mean, like not travel at the moment, but like just exploring. This is literature, music, and film. That's kind of my trifecta, and of course, like, I mean, I've thought about like learning particular regional Frenches or trying to get like a teacher from like, say, like Cote d'Ivoire or the Democratic Republic of Congo. Be like, just tell me about life there. Tell me like the experiences there. But then after that, I think it's like making like really concerted efforts to like watch like, I don't know, practically all the programs on Netflix in French, or at least the ones that really interest me. Find YouTube material that super interests me. Artists, I've started to do a little more like breaking down song lyrics because I don't know what you guys' experience is, but like lately, after I've like analyzed the song's lyrics pretty extensively, when I hear that song again, it's
Hey, you broke up, buddy.
Oh,
Restart that sentence.
oh, sorry. About song lyrics.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, okay, I don't know, like, I listened to some like Maitre Gim songs, for example, like 100 times without like really looking at the lyrics. I suggest the language learner go like study it for like 20 minutes. Go study that song's lyrics, and then the next time you hear that song, like it's gonna trigger a whole like latent layer of language that you already have like the rhythm to, but you didn't really have the meaning or the sense to. And
I've had
it's
the exact same experience.
have you?
Oh, that's a
Yeah, man.
classic. That's a classic language learning experience.
Well, it's
It's a
just like
classic. Just learning that
because the
learning.
song, it's just more vivid. I
Yes,
find.
and then every time you hear the song, all those words, all that vocab gets reinforced. You're like singing along to it.
Yeah, man. Seriously. Like, and then I don't know what you guys like. I find this is like probably the hardest thing at higher levels is like for me, it's gonna a vocab is gonna click, or especially gonna click when I see it in different contexts. Right. But the problem is when you're learning more like infrequent things, the possibility or the chances of those coming up are infrequent. So I've been trying to like manufacture my own ways, like look for like a song lyric, say, and then trying to find that in like a news article, like that expression or that vocab, where it's like two very different contexts, but trying to like purposely find those like interlock. Like you got to see it multiple times, I find, and actually not even multiple times, maybe like 2 or 3 times to really grasp the word. So an example I can use from today is like the song lyric in a French song was "J'ai troqué." So then I like typed that in on like the site called Lingui, which gives you a bunch of like random usages of that expression in like different news articles. So I like clicked on that and like read some of those news articles to see like, oh, okay, here's another time I use "J'ai troqué," which is like completely different from a song, but
What does it mean?
it's 2 different contexts. That means like échanger, like I changed or I traded in something. It's like, okay, I could learn that phrase, but then I'm gonna go watch like 5 hours of Lupin on Netflix and not see that phrase.
Yeah.
So now it's like, damn it, like there could be other crossovers. Like, I don't know. There's always this level of unpredictability in trying to like get new words out of a language, but I find like it's that reinforcement that's really key, and not just like repeating it on Memrise or not just going back to that song. I want to see it in different contexts. So that's why I'm trying to think like these variety of mediums to reinforce less frequent vocabulary. So I don't know if you guys have ideas on practices.
Well, I mean, that's like the classic, like just getting into the advanced language learning
It's an
stage,
advanced
right?
practice for
Like
sure.
learning stuff that's not commonly used. I would say that's like the definition of like being in the advanced stage of language learning.
Yeah. But you sound so damn native when you can pull that stuff up.
But not even that. It's just like it's like the nerdy stuff. That's what's fun, right? Like it's honestly like I'd argue that like the fun thing about language learning is like getting into the nitty gritty stuff, like the really nerdy stuff. And like exploring like the depths of each thing. Like that's what makes it like don't get me wrong. It's fun to dabble. It's fun because you get good really fast. But the nerdy
like white
stuff,
belt,
that's
yellow
what's
belt.
yes, white belt, yellow belt. It's easy, exactly. It's easy to get the yellow belt, but getting the black belt's really hard.
Correct.
There you go. Yeah.
But it's also the most fun. It's also It's not the most fun, but it's the most rewarding and gratifying.
And I'm finding it's like a ton of work, man. Like to really get my French like further and further.
It's so gratifying to like learn things, and like you don't have to do it at your own pace, right? Just do it every day.
Of course,
a little bit of French every day.
Pace is personal. Yes, I know. But it's funny how certain languages can just stay at a certain level for a really long time, and then you're like, okay, how am I gonna really push this to the next? And man, this is like after a long time speaking French that I'm like, all right, like, and is this like looking at like a variety of TV shows or like TV shows from different countries? Like, like watching Quebec content to France content and looking for overlap. I mean, there's so many different, when we say like get into the nitty gritty, I feel like there's a lot of different stones you could turn over to get into the nitty gritty. You know, like a language like Korean is maybe it's a little different. It's like kind of concentrated in 2 countries, whereas a language like French is vast. Like there's like so many places to speak French, man. Like I want to be like, hey, man, I'm gonna really get into like New Orleans.
Acadian French. Acadian French is what's called.
Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly.
I don't know, but you said
Louisiana.
something that gave me an idea. Like it'd be really cool to like book a couple italki classes with some guy from like Côte d'Ivoire.
Right.
Like some guy from the Congo. That'd be sweet.
Yeah. And just I don't even, man, just like tell me what it's like there. Like
just tell me about your life.
Basically. I mean, if you can't find a friend on Hello Talk or something, it's like, okay, just pay a little to get a tutor from one of these, like, you know, less elitist. I mean, yeah, obviously there's a ton of francophones there, but online and whatnot. I mean, it's not super vast, but I'm just feeling like to really expand one's, I don't know, panoramic view of the language.
Expand one's horizon.
Yeah, but then it's just like, what are your interests? I mean, you could go down a complete like French rap rabbit hole when lots of these rappers in France and Belgium have these African roots and, you know, the connections, the references they're making.
Absolutely.
Man, I love going deep.
Right?
I love going deep. That's my favorite. I like that more than dabbling. Well, I like dabbling, but I going in deep is more fun. It's more important.
Yeah. I mean, it's based kind of a mood, but I'm just like to do French, do it real justice. It's like I feel like maybe one should have like a esoteric knowledge about one of these subcultures within the language. I don't know. Like maybe you're just a huge what's the Quebec Junior Hockey League? Like you're just like super in depth to that or something, or like Congolese rap,
QHL.
or like French cafe. I don't know, history. I don't know. Like,
no, but you could know all about like French gastronomy.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Sure.
So use like a specialization in the language. Maybe that would satisfy like.
Yeah. Cool. That's interesting.
A part of it. I've just been thinking on the more like to go deeper into things.
Yeah, and that's something that just like totally depends on your interests, right? That's something that you can really cater to whatever you like in life.
Seriously. Yeah, because like I love music, so and I mean it's interesting when you take like your language and you put it in like a new context. Like lately, like I love football too, and you can get the TSN Thursday night and Monday night football feeds from RDS, like the French.
Really?
TSN?
No way.
It's like I'm gonna watch Thursday night football in French tonight.
Why not?
And it's just like, yeah, man, when you have these like kind of crossovers, or maybe it's like maybe to expand your horizons, put your language in just like a new context that you never would have expected to use it. I guess. I don't know. Swecco and I filled out our McDonald's order in French this past weekend.
Oh yeah, that was hilarious.
I don't know.
We were standing in downtown Banff, being like, "Ah, tabarnak, il n'y a pas de thé pour nous. Qu'est-ce qui se passe? Ici à l'Alberta, il y a vraiment ce déteste pour le Québécois. Pourquoi? Je comprends pas."
Yeah, like that, basically.
That was fun as hell. They definitely thought we were Quebecois.
Yeah, who was ever residing in McDonald's at that time.
Oh my god.
Yeah, no. So that's my thoughts on going deeper and deeper.
No, I that's been my like thing for the entirety of this podcast. Like every episode, I'm like touting the going in depth horn.
Yeah, no, I mean,
Me
the
too.
thing is, Right.
Well,
But
we know
then
Cody loves, like, Cody's big thing is to, like, go to some country and, like, totally immerse himself, or
possibly
Yeah.
find a girlfriend in said language.
possibly
Hey.
Yeah.
possibly
mean-
staying forever, but we'll see.
We'll see. Says he's not coming. He says he's coming back, but
I don't believe it yet.
yeah.
See.
Vamos a ver.
Vamos a ver,
What?
veremos.
And that's the biggest problem with these languages, man. Is there's so many. Like everything I just said about French and going in depth and specializing and like pick your language, dude. Like, I mean, it's just like to be phenomenal to do that in German, be phenomenal to do that in Russian, Ukrainian. It's just time and energy, as always, obviously.
So,
yeah.
Cody, what do you think? Because you're going to be in Korea for another 6 to 7 months ish, right?
Yeah.
Something like that. So you're obviously going to improve a lot by the time
You're going full bore with Korean.
you come back
Mhm.
to Canucklandia, to Canada. So what do you think? What are you going to do when have you thought about that at all? When you come back, what are your language aspirations?
I'm
Are
always
you gonna
thinking about the
still-
future, bro.
Yeah, I know you are. I know you
El
are.
futuro.
But tell me about your thoughts a little bit. Like, do you think you're gonna keep going hard at Korean when you get back to Canada, or what?
All right, here's my plan, because I've always got a plan for everything.
I know we know you do.
Plan the quota.
All right, here's my new plan. Okay, so
I'm going to North Korea.
Yeah, I'm going to North Korea. No. No, obviously not. Yeah, I'm gonna be really focusing on Korean for the rest of my time here. I'm just gonna throw all my energy into it, get as good as I can, and whatever that is by the end of my time here, that's what it is.
Yeah.
And
Black
when I
belt,
get back,
black belt in Korean.
yeah. So during my time back in education school, I'm basically just gonna be putting my languages on simmer. All of them are just gonna be simmering. I'm not gonna be focusing on anything. They're just gonna be simmering. I might even do a bit of dabbling in that time. But I'm not really gonna focus super hard on any one of them. And then the thing is, when I start teaching, I mean, hopefully I'll find a contract as soon as possible. But whatever I get a contract for, whatever I'm gonna be teaching, boom, it's gonna be like a heat-seeking missile. Boom, that's what I'm gonna be concentrating on. And then I'm just gonna nuke that language. Just boom, just do everything I can to get as good as I possibly can.
Yeah, man.
And once I'm satisfied, then I'm good. So if that's one language, then it's just one. But if I turn out to be like Senor and I'm teaching 2 languages, then I might just focus on one first and then focus on the other one after a couple of years. So this will be like a couple of years process, right?
But hold on, isn't that a thing though? Like in Canada, that like your probability of getting employed is a lot higher if you speak both Spanish and French.
You know what? We got to find a guest because on this topic, because we've been hearing that, like Cody and I have probably been hearing that since we were kids about second language aiding you in employment, and I love
especially French.
Especially
No,
French,
but if you
for
but
sure.
especially if you're a high school language teacher, like if you speak both French and Spanish, that has to be a massive benefit to you.
Oh, sorry. I thought you were just talking like general employment.
No.
But
Yes, I know about general employment, like statistically, like meta
I'd
statistically.
love to get someone who can like actually break it down to like kind of give people
Yes, we'll get
clear
that.
idea what that
That's
means.
not what I'm trying to figure out right now. What I'm trying to figure out is for Cody.
Okay,
Like, if you become a language teacher in Canada, don't you like automatically have to know Spanish and French?
No, not
I don't know.
necessarily. Like you could know one or the other. It just depends what school division's looking for.
Yeah.
Heck,
So
especially in the big cities, they want like Chinese and there's all
yeah,
kinds of
so I
specialties.
could get hired for any of my languages. So
Yeah.
it's basically just a roll of the dice. Whatever I get, boom, that's what I'm going to focus on. I'm
Do
going
they-
to focus
Yes.
on either 1 or 2 of those languages for
Yeah.
my entire 30s.
But
Yeah,
do
you know what?
they speak, like, can you choose Mandarin in high school or like in any school?
Yeah.
Some schools.
Can you? Oh wow, I didn't know.
Bigger
Well, that's
cities tend to have more programs.
Yeah.
Like in Edmonton, there's 2 bilingual Ukrainian schools, for
What?
example. Yeah, I subbed
Really?
at it, dude. Did I
That's
tell
what
you
you
I used
subbed?
to have this like sub card?
I didn't know you subbed in Ukrainian.
Well, I mean, I was at a different school every day when I was a substitute, but I used to like
Oh.
oh my god, this is kind of part ego, part. I used to have a sub card, said my name, and then like all the languages I could speak on it. It was like Spanish, French, Ukrainian. No, I didn't put German. No. Spanish, French, Ukrainian, ELL. I think those 4 were on my sub card, and I always felt like super cool.
Wait, what's
to win.
ELO?
Oh, English language learning, because that's what I also was at the
Oh,
time
oh.
in Edmonton. But it was just like, yeah, you need a language guy. No, sorry, I think I had social studies for my other subject on it. So I was like, I never had 5 things on it. Being like, you need a guy, you call me, right? And you always felt cool. You like leave your sub card. It's like leaving your business card at the place. But yeah, man, some of the cities, like especially here in Alberta, like Ukrainian was a thing. I mean, obviously, like once you have a certain number of teachers who can speak it, it's not like a huge demand, but like those schools are still around to this day. So you do need Ukrainian bilingual speakers. I mean, the education job market's always super based on just the needs at the time. But I mean, when Cody says nuke his languages, I mean that's no. I'm honestly like that is 100% the way, because especially with this movement of comprehensible input, the better you are at that language, the more like I said earlier, like the more malleable it is to learners when you have like just a crazy good efficiency. Because the thing about having you have like a crazy good efficiency is like you can like take it down a few notches and it's like still sounds really good and comprehensible to learners, and you know how to like ratchet it up to like make it more difficult. Like you control like the weight resistance to the language, and it's I mean, I can speak from experience with my French not being as strong as my Spanish the last while, that's totally the case. Like it's just a better teaching and learning experience for your students when you have a kick-ass level that you can like turn up and down the temperature on.
Yeah.
So no, man,
Absolutely.
that sounds like a solid plan.
Yeah. And that's
Absolutely.
exactly why I want to do it. Cause like when I actually start teaching these languages, like I want to be really good. Like
and don't get me wrong, I don't think it's like you won't be like showing off that greatness every day, but you'll be able to provide like a optimal learning condition every day.
Yeah,
Which
it'll be there.
that's how you like win language learners, right? I mean, it's a subject where you hope your students, once they've moved on, that they still have an interest and still want to do it. To me, that's a win. That's 100% a win. So
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah, man. No, solid plan. But
I've got a plan for later in life. I'll quickly go through it if you guys
right.
don't mind.
Please
This is
do.
like I don't know. We'll see. This could change with the future, but so yeah, for my 30s, that's gonna be focusing on just like getting really good at whatever languages I'm gonna be teaching, and then after that, I'm just gonna take it easy for the rest of my life in decades. So 40, my 40th birthday, if everything goes according to plan, I'm gonna start learning Japanese. And I'm just gonna screw around with Japanese for all my 40s. 50th birthday, Arabic. Same thing with the 50s. 60th birthday, Russian. And then same thing with the 60s. And then after that, I don't know. Maybe if I still like feel like learning languages, then I'll hit something like Turkish, and then 80 I'll do Persian or something like
what's
that.
90-year-old Cody gonna pick?
Yeah. 90-year-old Cody.
Finally.
He's gonna start learning Esperanto.
Finally. I'll be like dead for 3 years already. Like, my ghost. Finally.
Dude.
Esperanto.
Yeah, a decade's a lot of time, man, for a language.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's depth, though. I mean,
that's depth.
That is mad depth. Imagine just focusing on like an entire decade. Whew. Yeah.
And I think this is something for us, like being so young. This is something that we really lack perspective on. It's like
Mhm.
thinking of languages in terms of decades like that. Like, yeah, you really could do that. And like, like Ian, you've been learning all these languages for what, like a decade, 10 years, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
Something like that.
yeah, 11 years, yeah. Mhm.
And you've got
Yeah.
how many under your belt now? So imagine if you took all that time just for one.
Correct. 100%.
Mhm.
100%.
Yeah. So
Yes.
I think
Dude,
it's cool to have that kind of-
I've only been speaking Spanish for 3 years.
2018, right? Yeah.
There you
Yeah,
go.
Right,
in
yeah.
7 years, like
Yeah.
I'd imagine that I'd be like in 7 years from now, holy crap, my Spanish.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
No, exactly. Exactly.
If I
Yeah.
keep
So in
doing
this
this, like
case, yeah.
going to meetups and stuff, wow.
It's just okay, here's
Time-
my only
Yeah.
here's my only snag. Like I was telling Swecko before the podcast, like I want to go do the Camino de Santiago, right?
Ooh.
Northern Spain in the next couple of years, 2 or 3 years. And look, I mean, Basque isn't on the list per se, but I mean, these little dabbles to enhance experiences. I mean,
You
it'd be
mean
phenomenal to be like A1 in Basque before going, and just like you dropped into a village, that's where you're staying for the night, and you were just able to like strike something up in Basco.
you mean
Kaisho.
you Kaisho, you
Kaisho,
mean
right?
Euskara?
Yes, that's what I do mean. Yes. Uh-huh. So that's what I mean. Like I feel like life's always gonna give you these little for like I don't know, little enticements to just like little missions per se. But in the grand scheme, yeah, one's like main languages will always be there. But as a language learner, it's like I think little just it's like the forbidden fruit is always there to
Little side objectives.
yeah, right. It's like all right, like I'm going to go this trip, and then that's it. That's all she wrote. But I mean, I get the mission dabble per se. There's like a clear goal with it. Like, say you're gonna go climb Mount Kilimanjaro, and like, hey, you know what? Next 3 months, Swahili time, baby. Like stuff like that.
Yeah,
Right?
that's cool.
It's not like lifelong dedications or whatnot, but the side stuff. And if you're a language learner,
That would be something like what I would want to do with like my heritage languages.
right.
Like
Yeah,
I would hit like Swedish and Finnish for like a few months and then head
yeah,
over there and like just so I could kind of have like a
right.
somewhat of a conversation with my
Like
long lost family.
Cody,
Correct.
I was talking to Ian about this before the pod. Like at some point, we're all gonna have to go to Sweden. Stockholm.
Yeah, man.
Imagine like us three
Yeah.
in like downtown Stockholm when I
Yeah, that would be awesome.
that would be insane.
Live
that would be
podcast.
insane.
Yeah. No,
Like
the
that would be
Yeah,
a
we
good
gotta do it.
time. I promise you that'd be like the best of times.
Oh
ever.
yeah, oh yeah.
Maybe we'll get Ace Buck to come along too.
Ace Buck.
Some of our Mark language come up. Some of these boys.
Yeah.
I can't wait to meet some of these guys in real life.
Yeah.
Ace
Oh
Buck,
my
yeah, especially-
God.
No
especially
kidding, eh?
Ace.
That's gonna be Christmas. The day I meet Seabolt speaks real life.
Yeah.
Ooh,
One of
Good
these
day.
conferences.
Great day.
I'm just waiting for
Yeah.
Langfest to come back to Montreal.
Yeah, man. Absolutely.
I'll be
Totes.
there. I'm driving. I'll drive up.
You're close.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Like very close. So cool, boys. All right. We got an hour here. Hour plus.
Tudo bem.
Tudo bem agora?
Tudo bem.
Tudo bem.
Any
Bueno.
last words, folks?
Words of advice for the los oyentes, our dear listeners, Lingaholics podcast.
I think we're all good for today.
Keep checking us out, folks. We can get back tweeting again. That's our main account. Just insights. I want to give
Yeah, I
just
haven't
daily
gone on.
insights.
I haven't done any tweeting in a while.
Yeah, I've been
No,
avoiding social media too.
Well, no, that's healthy too. I did. Hey, I did Cody's digital detox during Thanksgiving. Went
How
very
was that,
slow.
by the way?
Went
Nice.
very swell. Yeah. Yeah, it was good, man. You just focus on like what's around you. That's it. There's nothing else.
Be
There's nothing else
present.
going on. You're just
Live
like,
in the moment.
I'm in the living room eating Thanksgiving dinner. That's it. That's all.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very nice. Very refreshing. So cool. All right,
Tudo
folks.
bem.
Tudo bem.
Thanks, everybody.
Até logo.
See you guys next time. Ciao, ciao.